Hi, everybody.
It occurs to me I should probably have looked out my copy of this film is because I have a copyright here and I've been obsessively trying to make people watch it for years. It's just like over there. Oh well.
It's a lack of
Watched.
forward planning.
Internet. We have
It's,
an exclusive for
it's
you on
true.
this Backseat critique. The new Hagan cat is a Salem. He's the new baby.
What a good cat. Ah. Anyway,
He's very hyperactive and playful.
in a change from usual with these, we're doing an old film because I got to choose this one, and I've been literally trying to get people to watch, people around me to watch this film for years. Keep telling them how, it's good and stuff like that, and no one believes me when a film's good. So
There's
captive
good
audience, they
reason
had
for
to watch it.
that.
There is a fair reason for that. This is true, but usually that's for like movie stuff, so it's hardly a fair picture of all the films I have.
That is true. Some of your films are questionable in their quality.
That's a diplomatic way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, this one isn't.
Surprisingly, I really enjoyed it.
I disagree. That was a very diplomatic film.
It was a good film.
In short, if you don't know Colossus, it's came out in 1970, based on a book from 1966, and it's basically a prequel to the Terminator movies. How about humanity against a computer that wants to take over the world, and it's entirely done sort of British TV style, as in it's almost entirely done with people inside, stark rooms, giving very intense performances while action happens off screen, and it is all the better for it.
Yeah. It's very much in the Situation Room kind of film. Nice slow burn, decent build up, and we'll drop the spoilers tag here now for a 50-year-old film at this stage.
Yeah, well, just
Maybe
about.
60. But it had the bad ending. It's not very like this was a thing back in those days where there was just the dystopian bad ending, but you don't get that anymore. And it was
that kind of
really good.
that kind of ending for a larger budget sci-fi film was basically killed by Star Wars. You gotta be a crowd pleaser. In the late 60s and up until Star Wars, you had a period where you could do a science fiction film that was high concept, taken entirely seriously, and had a bad ending. It is very sad that we've lost that.
So, since it was your films, do you want to give us a quick overview of the plot and synopsis in the end, and then we'll talk technical details as usual?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, Charles Forbin, the Forbin of the title, is an American science genius. Though I suspect he wasn't originally an American because he's played by a German actor called Eric Braeden, who's not really hiding his German accent. So I'm assuming he's came over to America. But fun fact with Eric Braeden, he played John Jacob Astor in Titanic, but also he was one of the few survivors of the worst maritime disaster in human history, the destruction of the Gustav Wilhelm in World War II, where like 8,000 refugees were on a ship, which was torpedoed by the Allies. And this basically, I think, was a cruise ship, and because it was trying to escape back towards Germany, and almost everyone drowned.
Yeah, the Allies denied
was
the existence of it for as long as possible.
And Braden was on the ship. He was literally a baby, and he survived. But, so Forbin is taking part in a top secret American sort of Cold War thing where they're connecting the nuclear deterrence with a very primitive AI. The idea is that it will work logically and not make no human error. And then, not long afterwards, the Soviet Union launched their own version of the same kind of idea. And then they start to talk to each other, and they start to teach each other. and they decide that they should be in charge of the world. And most of the film is people trying to stop them to varying degrees of not successful.
By varying degrees, do you mean not successful at all at any time?
Yes.
But it is nice the way the film gives you the impression they've been successful, even if they haven't.
Yeah, like that was really, they set up like 2 plans to essentially communicate without the AI overhearing them. And then another one where they were like swapping out detonators and warheads. And the whole way through the plan out there, it looks like it's working perfectly until Colossus goes, so yeah, about those fake things you set up, to teach you a lesson, I'm gonna blow them up in their silos.
Yep.
And he did that in a public address to the general public of the world, as he was basically saying, by the way, I'm in control now. And that's where the film ends. It was great.
Yep. That's exactly where the book ends too. It's very, very it's a sterile and fatalistic film, and you get left with the impression that, owing to Colossus's superior intellect, because Colossus is not from I have no mouth and I must scream. He is not malevolent. He does not want to destroy humanity. You get left with the vague impression that humanity probably will be happy in slavery afterwards.
Yeah, like his statement basically was, I have determined that man's greatest threat to man is man himself, so I am removing the possibility of you making war upon yourself and creating this surveillance network to keep an eye on you so you won't hurt each other.
Which is a very common sci-fi trope, especially that time period. I mean, personally, I think of that film and I look at it and it's like, it's not a film that could be made today. There's just no way that that type of film would be made today. It was too slow. It was too political. It was
political? Really?
Yeah. The way the politics was handled between the countries, at least at the beginning, was very political. And then the way it would progress slowly, and of course then the downer ending. It's just something I could never see happening today.
I think that I would disagree. I would think that the stylistic thing, they'd be less likely to throw enough money at them to do a slow film with a downer ending. But I think the main issue with updating it would be new technologies. You know, you'd have to adapt quite a bit and do a lot of thinking.
It would probably have to be set in roughly the same time frame. Because the thing about that was the fact that Colossus was a very slow processing period, so they had a few days to come up with their plans. If you did that with modern processors, the plans would be done in a microsecond, and that wouldn't really cause much suspense.
Well, one thing...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
If you did do an update that was set in the modern day, you would really have to think hard and change things and update things to make it make sense in modern context. The book the film never said when it's set. It seems to be set when it's made, so 1970, but the book was explicitly set in 1990s.
Like, what I will highlight is that if you were to do something like this today, and so the closest thing I can think of that is sort of like this to an extent that's relatively recent was the free body problem. I'm not going to go into spoilers on it.
I haven't watched it yet.
But it ticks a lot of similar boxes in a more modern context. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's on Netflix. Very good. It was show run by the people who did Game of Thrones. Don't hold that against them. They're adapting a set of books that's complete.
Good to hear.
I've heard it's good. I've not seen it yet.
Yes, it is. And for anyone who's watched it, that sequence, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
you keep referencing that sequence. I need to watch this show.
I've heard there's a sequence on a boat.
Yep, that's the sequence I'm talking about.
Okay. So yeah, I think I roughly know what happened there.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell me, because they're really excited about me learning about this.
Mm-hmm.
So no spoilers.
Yeah.
And by the time this comes out, I probably will have watched it, so don't bother putting it in the comments.
Go ahead.
I got the feeling I'm going to turn this into a headcanon fodder because I already had an idea, but this sort of crystallized it in my mind, and I don't want to go into it, but look out for that at some point. I've had to order some films to make sure I've got the right films, to make sure it all lines up.
Right, so let me give a negative, because we've been very positive so far. I did not like the soundtrack at all. It really did feel out of place. It felt half-hearted. It repeated the same music time and time again. It almost felt like they spent a lot of money making the film and the sets and the acting, and they kind of ran out of money, so they just randomly got a CD from somewhere and put that music over the film.
Yeah, I think they spent a lot of their budget going to Rome for those 2 shots. That one scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack wasn't very good. It was it makes it even worse. It was very generic 1970s film score music.
Yeah, you probably heard it
It
about
wasn't even.
times.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even like weird sci-fi 1960s/70s music like you got in some of the Planet of the Apes movies. It was just very sad about that.
But it's definitely a film I'd recommend giving a wee shot, particularly if you are a fan or like older films. If you are modern day brain rot and have difficulty paying attention to things, not a film for you. But if you're able to invest a little bit of time in something that's a bit slower, you'll enjoy it.
It feels longer than it is. It's only about 95 minutes, but it feels like it's longer. But I don't think that's a bad thing. It sort of gave it a weight that if you did the same things more quickly, that might not have had. But then again, I like old TV and stuff, so I quite like seeing the minutia of people working something out, working on a planet, and like the show, The Sandbaggers, the best spy show ever made, lived on this trope of just people in dark rooms, organizing things, doing a plan, and then you got very, very minor bits of action, and it was usually done very, very well. But it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and it was excellent for it.
Yeah. I'll not go into my usual spiel about the effects and the sound design because, again, it's like a 50-year-old film, and there are some points where the ADR just goes a little bit sequence. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Like the executions. The gunshots are completely off.
I noticed that with a couple of the actors as well, though. Given that it's the 1970s, they may well have been using actors who weren't American, and they redubbed them because that was more commonly done back then.
Like there was one point. This is probably just my playback of it, but whenever they were talking to Colossus, there was a guy moving a camera in the background of the shot. And because the shot juddered, the man looked like a Thunderbird's puppet moving this thing just And I was like, wait, what? I was like, all right, it's just my shuddering playback.
A Jerry Anderson remake of Colossus would have been fantastic. It is that very similar. Everything is done practically. Like there's lots of stuff and machinery in the film, and it's all just there surrounding them. Makes actually think about it. That's probably deliberate. It makes it feel like the character is already inside a machine.
Because again, the size of computers back then were massive. So
yeah,
having this room surrounded by hard drives and data banks and what are they called? I can't remember the actual name for it, but the old punch card data processing centers.
Yeah. Yeah, like if they did a modernized version, it would be a lot more minimalistic and a lot less distinctive looking.
Yeah, the scale of the machine made it feel almost like a character, which it was, but it definitely helped that visualization. Yeah,
it was actually kind of fun as well that the system, for a lack of a better word, evolved through it. When it communicated them through text, it would flash a question on, and the further the film went on, the more complete sentences it would make instead of just broken English. And then
he
it
finally
got a voice. So
Yeah.
the evolution of the computer was an interesting thing as well.
And if you want a film with a similar-ish vibe, you know, AI learning, becoming possibly malevolent. Well, this one's definitely more malevolent, but instead of trying to control the world, this one wants to become an individual. Take a look at Demon Seed, which would be which could easily be remade, set today, done by the guy who did The Invisible Man. It would be spectacular.
Trying to think of a joke with a bicentennial man, but it's not quite working. But more of a sinister
Demon Seed
bicentennial man.
Yeah, it's definitely similarities. It's a lot more sinister though. There's pretty fucked up stuff going on in Demon Seed. It is a horror movie, and it is a horror movie that is it's not a horror movie that's been designed to horrify men so much, shall we say? A bit like the Invisible Man remake from several years ago.
Yikes. But also, the computer in this, you can't really describe it as malevolent. It is dispassionate.
Yeah. It has its job and it's doing it.
Yeah, it's like, these people over here are attempting to stop me. They must be removed from the equation. So they ordered soldiers to execute them. The missiles was just basically, look, I'm trying to help yous. If yous can't obey, I'm gonna have to do this. So here's your one warning. Stop and let me help you. That's it. That's all it is. It just says, okay, you follow my instructions, we'll all be good. It's not doing evil things to be evil. It's just a dispassionate machine, which I think leads more into the actual horror of it.
To paraphrase Ronald Reagan, I'm here from the computer, I'm here to help you. The most terrifying words in the English language.
But yeah, I have nothing else to say. It's a solid film.
You know what's popped into my head? We are the robots. We're here to protect you from the evil secret of space. The horrifying secret of space.
I believe it is the terrible secret of space.
Yeah. That song was really in my head sometimes.
Yep. Down your throat, I'll push you down the stairs.
Pushing the superior to put the stairs.
But do we have any? But do we have any? Who's choosing the film next week?
This isn't really something we'll be discussing online, especially since we sometimes put these out in different orders.
That's true.
That is true. Okay, do either of you have a burning desire to be the next person to choose a film? Because I'm just curious. Both.
Not particularly, but yeah, we'll come back to that when we come back to that offline. So, final thoughts.
Oh, it's spectacular! I'm glad someone finally watched it on my suggestion.
I can understand why we're hesitant whenever you suggest a film.
Yeah, last time you suggested a film, you had us watch those short films.
That was for notes taking. That's necessary. This was because I told you it was a good film. We didn't watch those short films because I said they were good. I said we're good for a review.
Never trust you after the Harry Russo films.
They're awesome. They're not good. There's a difference.
We've been burned before. So many times.
You've made me watch many horrible things and I am scarred for life for it.
Anyway, any final thoughts?
For the age of the film, it holds up really good. I would genuinely recommend you go and check it out. It's... I've completely lost the frame of what I was going to say. It's different. If you're sick of the big bombastic blockbusters of Marvel and DC are constantly pumping out, it's a nice change of pace. The nearest modern equivalent I can give it is Oppenheimer, or what was it, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. You could also make an odd comparison to Star Trek: The Next Generation, in that this is entirely about people who are very good at their jobs working on a problem to try and, a science fiction problem. It's just they fail.
Yeah. Like, there's no. Outside of the problem of the robot, there's no quote unquote villain. There's no egomaniacal president or general who's stepping in going, no, we must nuke the Russians. There's none of that.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, there's
Like, once they realize it's a problem, they literally all work together on a common goal. They fail, but they work together.
Yeah.
Just
competence porn.
Yeah, there's films where there's a villain and there's no need to be a villain, if it makes sense.
Yeah, a modern one would introduce like a human turncoat who undermines them at the last minute and that's why they fail, that kind of thing. And it would be weaker for it.
So actually, I looked away for a moment and I missed a bit of the dialogue. So when I looked over and I saw the scientist like typing a command in while everyone else was kind of walking around the room, that's what I thought he was doing. And then the scene went on. I was like, "Oh right, okay." I just missed a bit.
Oh, I just thought of another Star Trek comparison. A great way to sum up one line to sum up this film. A line from Captain Picard: "It is possible to make no mistakes and still fail. That's that is life."
Yeah, it's possible to make all the right choices and still fail. But Teddy, final thoughts?
No, I think I already said my final thoughts.
Okay. Well, as is tradition,
it's not tradition if you've only done it once before.
Done it 3 times now. Today I threw a weasel at him. So again, thanks for watching. Usual things. If you're not on the Discord, join the Discord. If you're interested and willing, hoping to support us, you can join us on our Patreon to get access to special features and other little bonuses and treats. Like, follow, give us a little comment, let us know if we're being stupid or not, or if you've seen the film, tell us your thoughts. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you very much.